Hi, welcome to my video on review 3 of rational expressions, videos numbers 30 to 33. And again, as a review, I treat it as a quiz that you can mark, and notice that this is the first page of 5, so you could have, if you wish, 4 blank sheets and do questions on each sheet. The total is out of 28. So you for each page that I'll turn over now, this first page, you pause the video and work each problem out, and then you can give yourself, like question 1 has 4 marks, question 2 has 5. When you get it done, you can mark it so many marks, total mark out of 4, etc., etc. And that's the way we do it. We do 1 page at a time, and the total is on the bottom of each page. This one got 9. When you get them all done, you total up your score and get your percent. Okay, let's do some of these problems. Again, the review of videos 30 to 33, and these are done in order except for the last question, which is a bonus question. A tank has 2 outlet valves. One can drain the tank in 20 minutes, the other can drain the tank in 30 minutes. If the tank is full and both valves are open at the same time, after how many minutes will the tank be empty? So what we have outlet valves. One can drain the tank in 20 minutes. So one tank is 20 minutes, and the other tank is 30 minutes. So that means their unit rate is that they'll do 1/20th of the job for the first tank, and the other tank will do 1/30th of the job in 1 minute. So this is the unit rate per minute. The number of minutes to take, it's 1 out of 20. It'll do 1/20th of the job. And then it says, if the tank is full and both valves are open at the same time, after how many minutes will the tank be empty? So if both valves are open, that means it's 1/20th plus 1/30th of the job is being done by both of them. And they want to know how many minutes does 2 of these work together to complete the job, because that's the way I explained how to do the problems in video number 30. So we'll work this out, and we can work it out by simplifying what's inside the bracket first by bed mass. The LCD for 20 and 30 is 60. LCD for 2 and 3 is 6, so it's a 60. So that means 20 into 60 goes 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 30 into 60 goes 2. So 2 times 1 is 2. So I converted both fractions to the same denominator. Now I'm going to add. I get 60 for the denominator, and you add the numerators, you get 5 equal to 1. And 5 goes into 5 once. 5 into 60 is 12, so that's 1/12 equals 1. X over 1 times 1/12 is x over 12 equals 1. And the 1 can be 1 over 1. So x times 1 is x, 12 times 1 is 12. So it takes 12 minutes for both of them to do the job working together. So the way I mark this, if you had your rates, you got 1 mark. If you came up with the equation, you got another mark. And if you worked through, simplified the equation down to here, you get 2 marks. So 4 marks in total. Number 2, the sum of 2 integers is 6. Twice the reciprocal of one integer added to 4 times the reciprocal of the other is 2. Find the integers. Okay. The sum of the 2 integers is 6. So what we'll do, we'll let x be 1 integer. That means that we'll let 6 minus x be the other integer. And we discussed that in the doing the expressions in the earlier units, changing these to expressions. So just a little, just give you an example of that. If I'm just going to do this on the side here. If you have two numbers adding up to 10, then if one number was 8, then the other one would be 10 minus 8, which is 2. Or if you had two numbers adding up to 15 and one was 6, the other would be 15 minus 6, which is 9. So notice if one number, whatever this number is, then it's always the sum, subtract that number. So because the two numbers add to the 6, if one is x, the other one is 6 minus x. And that's how we do the expressions in relation to the sum of two numbers. And let's continue. So the rates, the unit rate for each of what we're doing reciprocals. When I say unit rate now, I'm thinking about number 1 up here now. Okay, sorry for that. The reciprocal of one integer, so the reciprocal of the first integer here is 1 over x. The reciprocal of the other integer is 1 over 6 minus x. Reciprocals are your flip them upside down. Now it says twice the reciprocal, so that's twice one of the reciprocals added to 4 times the reciprocal of the other, 4 times the reciprocal of the other is 2. So I did twice the reciprocal of one number added to 4 times the reciprocal of the other number, which is here, is equal sign 2. So now we're going to solve the equation. So 2 times 1 over x gives me 2 over x. 4 times 1 over x minus 6 is 6 minus x again. Sometimes I say things, but I try to correct myself. So 2 times 1 over x, 2 over x, 4 times 1 over 6 minus x is 4 over 6 minus x equals 2. And because we have an equation with rational expressions, the restrictions, if you think about the restrictions here, restrictions are 0 and 6. And the LCD is x times 6 minus x. So we take the x and the 6 minus x and we multiply it by each fraction. X times 6 minus x multiplied by each fraction. X times 6 minus x multiplied by each fraction or part of the equation. So when we multiply the LCD by each part of the equation, every denominator should cancel. So x cancels, so we get 2 times x minus, or 6 minus x. 6 minus x cancels, and I get 4 times x. And there's no cancellation here, so that's 2 times x times 6 minus x. So we simplify this equation. We get 12 minus 2x, add on 4x equals 12x minus 2x squared. And we simplify each side, so that's 12 plus 2x equals 12x minus 2x squared. The 2x squared is moved to the left because it's a quadratic. All terms will move to the left. And if you move them from right to left, they change the sign. So notice the negative 2x squared becomes positive. Positive 12x becomes negative. We don't change these signs. 2x squared minus 10x plus 12 equals 0. And because we have 2, which is the GCF of all these, we can divide all terms by 2. So we get x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. And let's go up here. That means that we got an x squared, so there's 2 factors, there's 2 answers. x and x, and factors of 6 to give you a 5. Well, we have a positive 6 product and a negative sum, so we got a negative and a negative. So the factors of 6 are 6 times 1 and 3 times 2. But because the product is positive, the factors are going to add up to give you 5. So that's a 3 and a 2. That means that x minus 3 equals 0, or x minus 2 equals 0. So x is 3, or x is 2. 3 and 2 will do it. That means if you have 3 and 2, that means we have 6 minus x, which is 6 minus 3, gives you 3. So the numbers that go together are 3 and 3. And over here, we have a 6 minus x, so that's 6 minus 2, which is 4. So notice that the numbers, the integers, there's two pairs of integers. The integers are 3 and 3, or it could be 2 and 4, because there's two pairs. It's just not a 3 and a 2, because you can't take the 3 and the 2 separately. Like, yes, you can, but I'm sorry, you can't take the 3 and the 2 together, because they got to have a sum of 6. So what number do you add on to 3 to give you 6 is 3. What number do you add on to 2 to give you 6 is 4. So there's two pairs. And when you work these out, if you got the reciprocals, you got a mark. If you wrote down the equation, you got a mark. And if you simplify the equation, then you got a mark. If you got to these two answers, you have a mark. And so that's 5 marks. And then if you wrote down both sets of answers, you got another mark. Notice there's two sets of answers here. 3 and 3 is a pair. 2 and 4 is a pair. So there's two different pairs. Total up your page. Let's continue. Harry entered an Ironman competition where he swam 6 kilometers and bicycled 36 kilometers. He finished it in 3 hours. If he rode his bike 12 kilometers an hour faster than he swam, how fast did he ride his bike? Well, again, this is, if you remember how we did the other ones, I drew the table and I got different columns in the table. So what we have is, he's an Ironman, so this is the swim and this is the bike. So there's a distance rate problem. Distance equals rate times time. So we got a distance, we have a rate, and we have a time. The distance that he swam was 6. The distance that he cycled was 36. And it says that he rode his bike 12 kilometers faster than he swam. So if he swam for R at the rate of R, then he rode his bike 12 faster, so it's R plus 12. And it's total of 3 hours, so we don't know what the hours are. 3 could be 1 and 2, could be 1.5 and 1.5, we don't know. But if distance equals rate times time, and we take our distance and divide by rate on both sides, distance divided by rate gives me time. So therefore the distance is 6 divided by R gives me time. The distance is 36 divided by the rate of R plus 12 gives me time. And we can see that the total time is 3 hours. So if we take the time, which is 6 over R, add on 36 over R plus 12, the time adds up to give you 3 hours. And the restrictions is that R can't be 0 and R can't be negative 12. So to solve the equation, we need an LCD. The LCD is R times R plus 12. Got to have each denominator. We'll multiply R times R plus 12 by each equation. r times r plus 12, and r times r plus 12, because that's how I work them out. When I have an equation with fractions, I multiply every part of the equation by the LCD, and every denominator should cancel. So r's cancel, so I get 6 times r plus 12. 6 times r plus 12. The r plus 12's cancel, and I get 36 times r. 36 times r equals, no cancellation here because there's no fraction, so I get a 3r times r plus 12. Simplify this equation, and I get 6r plus 72, 36r, 3r squared plus 36r. When you multiply, simplify the left side, so we get 42r plus 72 equals, just write this down, and because it's a quadratic, I will move all terms in descending order to the left side. And I'll simplify negative 3r squared, and that's 42, so that gives me a 6r plus 72. We multiply the equation by negative 1, or negative, could be negative 1 or negative. That gives me 3r squared minus 6r minus 72 equals 0. So notice I multiply by negative 1, that becomes a positive, a negative, and a negative. 3 is a factor of 6. 3 into 72 goes 24. Because the digits add up to 9, that means it's divisible by 9 and 3. So let's divide all terms by 3. Dividing by 3 gives me smaller numbers to work with. And this is factorable. So I have an r and an r factors of 24. 24 is 1, 24, 2, 12, 4 times 6. I see a 3 and an 8. And what factors of 24 will give you a 2? The only ones are 4 and 6. And I have to have a positive and a negative because it's a negative 24. So it's a negative 6 and a positive 4. Multiply. 4 times negative 6, 20, negative 24, add negative 2. Perfect. R plus 4 equals 0, or R minus 6 equals 0. Because it's a quadratic, I have two answers. Remember, when it's a quadratic, all the terms move to the left side in descending order. And you get two answers. So R is negative 4, or R is 6. How fast did he ride his bike? He swam at R. Now notice the negative 4. You can't have a negative rate, so that's crossed out. So he swam at R, and he rode his bike at R plus 12. So that's 6 plus 12, which is 18. So how fast did he ride his bike? So the bike, the speed, S-P-E-E-D, is 18 kilometers an hour. 18, that's speed. Sorry about that. S-P-E-E-D. The bicycle speed is 18 kilometers an hour. And we have 6 marks. So if you set up the table, you got a mark. If you set up the equation, you got a mark. If you have your equation simplified right down to here, you got a mark. If you worked out these two, you got a mark. If you worked out your answer, you got a mark. So hopefully I got 6 marks coming through here. If I didn't, so you can give yourself an extra mark. But if you get the 18, you get your full 6 marks. So there's 2 answers here. You get 2 for that and 1 for that, so a total of 6. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. You had to add on to 12 to get the rate of the bike. Number 4, f of x is 4x squared plus 3x. Find the f of 1 over x as a fraction or radical in simplest form. So the f of x is, so that's whatever x is, you have to put x in these two places. So that means I have to put, and I'm going to write down the f of x again. So here it is. So now I'm doing the f of 1 over 4x. So that means that 1 over 4x is subbed in the place of x. So x is right here, so that's x squared, so there's 1 over 4x. X is right here, so it's 1 over 4x. Now I have to simplify this equation. So bed mass, see, I have to work my powers. The inside, PEMDAS, bed mass, whatever one you want, PEMDAS. You have to do the inside first, but that's done. We have to do the exponent next. So 1 over 4x times 1 over 4x is 1 over 16x squared. So I did my exponent for next. Now I do multiplication, division left to right. So I got to go 4 times 1 over 16x, 4 over 1, that's 4 over 16x squared. 3 over 1 multiplied by 1 over 4x is 3 over 4x. Now I need a common denominator, so the LCD has got to be 16x squared. So you got to take this denominator. 4x is already into that. So the LCD is 16x squared, so I multiply this one by 4x over 4x. So that gives me, didn't change the first one. So on the bottom here I got a 16x squared. It's 3 times 4x gives me 12x. And now I have a common denominator of 16x squared. Write that down and add these up. So it's 12x plus 4. But the 12x plus 4 has a 4 as a GCF. So 12x divided by 4 is 3x. 4 divided by 4 is 1 over 16x squared. And 4 into 4 goes once, 4 into 16 goes 4. So the answer is 3x plus 1 over 4x squared when you fully simplify it. So if you sub them in like correctly, you get 1 mark. If you squared here, you get a mark. And if you simplified here, you got a mark. And if you got this, you got right to here, you got a mark. And if you factored, you got a mark. So there's the marks assigned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, total your page and see what you have. Let's continue. Yep. Number 5, the P of x is 2x over, x plus 2 over 2 minus x. Find the P of 2 over x plus 1 as a fraction, the simplest form. So again, the P of x is x plus 2 over 2 minus x. So I'm going to work out the P of 2 over x plus 1. That means if I draw a line here, there's x, so I have to put 2 over x plus 1, add on 2. And I got 2, subtract 2 over x plus 1. So notice, right here, I put in 2 over x plus 1. And right here, which is x, I put over 2 over x plus 1. Now I have to simplify. What I have is a complex fraction. So I have to get, well, I could do no equation. So an LCD here, the denominator for both top and bottom is the same. So what I do, simplest way to do, I could simplify the top and simplify the bottom and then multiply by the reciprocal. But the fastest way is to multiply the top by x plus 1 and multiply all parts of the bottom by x plus 1. But before I do that, I got to add on the negative. So I'm adding on -2. Because remember, when I subtract, I add on the opposite. So instead of subtracting, you add on the -2. That means every denominator should cancel. So notice you multiply the top and the bottom, all parts, by the LCD of top and the bottom, numerator and denominator. So x plus 1 cancels. So that gives me 1 times 2 is 2. And there's no cancellation here. So I get 2 times x plus 1. And there's no cancellation here. So I get 2 times x plus 1. And I get a -2. That's a 1 times 1. And I simplify that. I have to multiply before I add. So that's 2x plus 2. And I get 2x plus 2 and 2. -2 times 1 is -2. They cancel out. So I get 2x plus 4 over 2x. And as you can see, 2 is a GCF on the top, so you get an x plus 2 over 2x. The 2's cancel. So I get x plus 2 over x is the final answer. And I cannot cancel these. And you have 4 marks, so if you sub it in, you get 1 mark. If you multiply by the LCD, you get this step is another mark. If you simplify it to here, you get another mark. And if you simplify it to here, you get another mark. So there's the 4 marks. And put your score down. Number 6. The h of x equals 3x plus 1. And the h of 4 over x equals 3. Now, what happens? Let's see, I want to find the value of x. So if the h of x is 3x plus 1, then the h of 4 over x is 3 times 4 over x. So what I'm doing, I'm subbing in 4 over x in the place of x, h of x. So I'm putting 4 over x right there. That means I can simplify this so that 3 over 1 becomes 12 over x plus 1. But it says here that the h of 4 over x equals 3. So by putting the 4 over x in here and working it out, I get this. If the h of 4 over x is 3, so notice that that and that are the same. So what can you conclude? We can conclude that 12 over x plus 1 is equal to 3. Notice the h of 4 over x, the h of 4 over x, whatever I have here equals to 3. Now we got to solve this equation. And we got a denominator. So we look at the restriction. The restriction is a 0. And the LCD for this denominator of this equation is, for these fractions, is x. So that means I'll multiply all parts of this equation by x. Because when you multiply through by the LCD, all denominators will cancel out. And when you do that, LCD is x because it's the only denominator. Multiply all terms by x. The x cancels and I get a 12. X times 1 is x. And you get x times 3 is 3x. So that means that negative 3x plus x equals negative 12. Negative 2x is negative 12. And negative 2x divided by negative 2. Negative 12 divided by negative 2. X is 6. So 6 is the value of x that will make this a 3. And you can check it out if you want. And x is 6. So the h of 4 over x is the h of 4 over... So this is a check now. That's all I'm doing is a check. So that becomes the h of 2/3. So if I got the h of 2/3, I can put 2/3 in right here. So that means I can go 3 times 2/3 plus 1. And 3's cancel. I get 2 plus 1 is 3. So I'm checking that 6 is the right answer because I put 6 in here and got 2/3. Then I put 2/3 in this expression here and I got 3. 8 marked for that page. Total them up. And that's page 4 of 5. And now we have one more question to do, but I marked this as an extra little twist, not similar to the videos, the problems I did in video 30, but I put a little tiny twist on it. Together, 2 people can complete a certain job in 6 days. Just 2 people can do the job together in 6 days. Working alone, one person takes 5 more days than the other. Find the number of days for each to complete the job alone. So we got to work out the number of days for each. So we're going to let x be the number of days for one person. And so one person works 5 more hours, so we got to let x plus 5 be the number of days for the other person. So that's the number of days x and x plus 5 that each of these are working. And the unit rate for the first person is 1 over x. So in one day he'll do 1 over x at a job, and the other person will do 1 over x plus 5 at a job in one day. But if they work together, so if you put their rates together, this is how much both of them will do in one day. And but if they work for 6 days, they'll have the job done. So this is a little different because the other problems, you had to find the number of days working together. But this is a little twist. And if you have this, so you multiply by 6 in this equation, you get 6 over x. 6 times this fraction is 6 over x plus 5 equals 1. And now we got restrictions because we got rational expressions, so the restrictions are 0 and a negative 5. The LCD, make that a negative 5, LCD is x times x plus 5. So I'll multiply each part of the equation by x times x plus 5. X times x plus 5. When I do that, the denominators will cancel. So x cancels, so I get 6 times x plus 5. X plus 5's cancel, and I get 6 times x. And that's a 1, so I just get x times x plus 5. Simplify that, and I get a 6x plus 30. 6x, x squared plus 5x. And that gives me 12x plus 30. Because what I do, I simplify each side first, and then I move. So the x squared comes over, because it's a quadratic, it goes to the left side. 12x minus 5x plus 30 equals 0. Simplify that, x squared plus 7x plus 30 equals 0. And I have a negative, so I'll get rid of the negative. So that's multiply everything by negative 1, so it's an x squared minus 7x minus 30 equals 0. And now I can factor this because it's a quadratic. There's 2 factors. I have an x and an x. The factors of 30. Product is negative 30. The sum is negative 7. So I got a 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and I got a 5 times 6. So which pair of factors is, notice the product is negative, so the factors are subtracting to give you a 7. Nope, yeah, there's a 7 here. So it has to be a 10 and a 3, but the 10 is negative and the 3 is positive because the product is negative, sum is negative, got me negative 10 and 3. That means x minus 10 equals 0, or x plus 3 equals 0. So x is 10, or x is negative 3. And it's what? Days, so we can't have negative number of days, so they're gone. So if x, let the number of days be x, so one person got 10, the other person got x plus 5. So that's a 10 plus 5, which is 15. So one person for 10 days, working alone, and the other person is for 15 days, working alone. So 10 and 15. 10 and 15. And if you distribute the marks, if you come up with the rates, you get 1. If you come up with the equation, you get another. If you simplify the equation to here, you get another. If you work it right down to right here, or right here, you get another. And if you get the 2 of these, you get another, and we get the final answer. So there's a 6 mark distributed through. Total up your page out of 6. And when you got the quiz finished, whatever length of time you took, then you can go back, and again I'm gone back to the first page. Total up, put it over 28, divide the 28 into the numerator, get a decimal, move your decimal 2 places to the right to get your percent, and hopefully everything went well. And to review where you made the mistakes and correct your mistakes. And if you like my video, click the like button. That brings us to the end of this unit. Total review, the whole unit on rational expressions is done. Hopefully, the rational expressions unit is very important in the math, but all the math you do from now on will somehow have factoring, rational expressions, etc. Very important. If you like my video, click the like button, subscribe button, notification bell, and visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And this is the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.